Hey guys, this isn't gonna be a movie review or really anything to do with movies. This is gonna be a more of a personal type of, I guess, vlog that a few people have told me that should probably discuss about. Anyone who knows me knows I am probably one of the biggest wrestling fans at, you know, besides movies and TV, wrestling's my big thing. And I'm not only a big wrestling fan, I'm a big women's wrestling fan. And right now, in this day of age, sadly, women's wrestling isn't that great. It's pretty sad, actually. There's few women that I enjoy watching. Becky Lynch is one. Bailey. For people who watch wrestling will know who these people are. But a couple days ago, we lost probably one of the most iconic and influential women in professional wrestling, Joni Lawler. Most people know her as Chyna. And when I had heard about this, I was at work, and it popped up on, just on, you know, Yahoo, and I read about it, that she had passed away, and I at first really I thought it was some kind of hoax, that she died. Then I looked at, it happened. Um, Reports say that they don't think it was a suicide attempt. I think it was a suicide attempt. And let me give you, for anybody who doesn't know, a little bit of background. Joni was a one of a kind woman. This was a woman who went in to a very, back then, male dominated business. And she not only owned and dominated the women's division. She wasn't even in the women's division when she first started out. She was a bodyguard for the now COO of this company, Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, and played his bodyguard. She wasn't even wrestling at that time. Okay? She was his bodyguard. She was huge. I mean, you go back 1998, she was huge. She was like an Amazon. And she freaking made women just, she was not, the average woman. And then throughout her career, she finally went into, women's wrestling and destroyed them. I mean, she was the first woman to be considered for a WWE title match. The first woman. Now, she never got the title match. But the fact that people were like, yeah, we could see that. We could see her fighting men and actually winning because she. And then later on, she became the first Intercontinental Women's Champion. No other woman has done that. No other woman. So she was a big deal. But this is where I'm going with all this. She also was engaged to Triple H. They were in a relationship for a long time. And she didn't, if you read her book, she didn't have a strong relationship with her family. Her life was wrestling. And Triple H. That was her life. She loved that man. Um, then, I believe it was in 2001. Back then, Triple H on screen was married to Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon, the owner of the company, daughter. On screen romance that apparently became very much more that they were fooling around behind Chyna's back. You watch the Triple H's documentary. He brings it up. Does he bring up the fact that he was with Chyna when this was all happening? No. He doesn't bring that up at all. Why would he? And China soon finds out that Triple H was cheating on her, and they had bought a house that they were going to live in and have a family with. And soon enough, you know, she finds out, and the engagement's off. But was that enough for Stephanie? I mean, you got the guy. You won. No, it wasn't enough for her. You know what she did? She went out of her way to cut the legs off of China's career by making her father fire her and kick her out of the company. And people nowadays give China so much crap for the drugs, the porn. Oh yeah, she went so bad, she fell so hard. She went into porn. Let alone that she went into porn and had a sex tape with X-Pac, aka Sean Waltman. But yet, he's back in the company. Where was she? Why wasn't she invited back into the company? You want to know why? Because of Stephanie. She would have been caught dead before she let China come back into this company and maybe, God forbid, help these women. Because anybody who knew Joni Lawler knew she was a very, very nice woman. Mick Foley said it himself. When she was in the company, Mick Foley brought his daughter to one of the events, and Joni took her to the back to have makeup done with her. She was a one-of-a-kind woman and human being. I even met her once when I was very little, and it's probably one of the best experiences I've had in meeting a professional wrestler. So yeah, then she declined, went to drugs, went to porn, and then she went to live away from all of this. Went to, believe it was Japan, to help teach kids, which I have so much respect for her for doing that. And then, a year or so ago, Triple H was asked on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast on the WWE Network that was China going to be in the Hall of Fame. He kind of tiptoed around it, saying that was she worthy of being in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, she was worthy. Damn right she was worthy, and he couldn't say no to that. But they made up this little excuse that she couldn't be in the Hall of Fame because, God forbid, parents don't watch their kids and their kids go Google and what pops up on China is their porn. Really? So if you Google Trish Stratus, you're not gonna notice her wearing thong panties. Or if you Google Lita, you're not gonna notice that she was slutting around with Matt Hardy and Edge. Really? Really? As Miz would say. It was it was a very pathetic excuse, in my opinion. Because the real reason was they didn't want to put her in the Hall of Fame because, God forbid, Triple H and Stephanie's kids one day figure out, Google China to figure out who she was, and finds out that their mom was the reason this woman went to such a deep decline that pretty much caused her death. Because I'm not blaming all of it on them, don't get me wrong. Not blaming 100, it was her choice. But this woman loved that man to death, and not only was crushed because she lost him, Stephanie went out of her way to make sure she never wrestled again by getting her fired. So imagine my surprise when I go on Twitter and read Stephanie's little sympathetic tweet about how they lost a pioneer and uh, when wrestling was nothing without her. You know what, Stephanie would have been more classy if you kept your mouth shut. Because we all know you were the reason she never got a fair shot again at wrestling, which is what she loved to do. And the only reason that you are even in charge of the company is because you were a little puddle in your dad's ball sack. So it really, I mean, and I watched SmackDown, and SmackDown is taped on Tuesday, so I didn't expect them to do some little tribute to her. But I tell you this much: if they don't do a tribute to her on Monday, let alone put her in the Hall of Fame next year, I might just stop watching WWE altogether, because that is so disrespectful. Because you put in people like Sunny, who is now doing porn and selling her Hall of Fame ring. You put in people that have done far worse things. You put in Macho Man Randy Savage, who I adore. But correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Randy Savage sleep with Stephanie when she was a very young age? But you let him in? All these other people who have done very horrendous things. But for some reason, Chyna's not allowed? Hmm. Gee, I wonder why that is. Because it has nothing to do with her not being worthy. She was definitely a pioneer for women's wrestling and a one-of-a-kind women's wrestler. So, for my fans who don't watch wrestling, I'm sorry, but this disturbed me for so long, and I just had to talk about it. And I really do hope she gets put in the Hall of Fame because she deserves it. And I really hope that WWE does something very special to tribute her, because to do anything less is not only disrespectful, it's almost inhuman, because I would say without her, women's wrestling wouldn't be where it is today. Still be back in thinking women are just to look at and that their matches mean nothing. And I would say girls like Charlotte, Bailey, AJ Lee, they probably wouldn't have wrestled because they wouldn't have seen strong women. Because who came in right after Chyna? Trish Stratus, Lita, Victoria, Jazz. All these women came right after her, and they were strong, dominant women that people paid hard-earned money to see. Hell, Trish and Lita were in the main event of Raw, and nobody has ever done that, ever. And that was after Chyna, when she was doing main events with Triple H and all the other Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. She was doing main events with them. When they needed a SmackDown that needed a main event, they sometimes put Chyna in it. So it just really bugged me, and it made me see kind of how Stephanie and Hunter really are. Because I know for a fact they're gonna do a tribute. They will, but they're also gonna do a way to get some money out of it. Make a T-shirt, you know, with Chyna's name. Even though you're not doing it for her, you're doing it for you so you can make money. Because you're snakes. You're just venomous snakes. Everyone talks about how um, a lot of people gave CM Punk crap for leaving. I gave him crap for leaving. But I now understand why he left. I understand why. Because he saw how Triple H and stuff, they're nothing but huge snakes who could care less about their employees. They care more about their brand and how the people outside the wrestling business view them. And it's just so sad. It's damn near pathetic. And it makes me sad to be a wrestling fan right now. Just seeing all this happen. But I will never forget Joni Lawler. I loved her as a women's wrestler. And I'm just happy that she's probably in a better place now. She's up there with Eddie and Chris Benoit. And yeah, Chris Benoit did a bad thing. But you know what? did drugs, if they paid a little bit more attention to him, it probably would have saved his life, his kid's life, and his wife's life. The company doesn't care. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say on this. So it's a little more down than I was expecting, but yeah. Comment below.